Moore's law has to a large extent ruled technology adoption and growth, but you believe that's running out of gas. Can you explain why that is?
Yes, Moore's law, the idea that computing power doubles and costs go down, has been in effect for 50 years or so. And there's a feeling now, and actually there's a wonderful article in Bloomberg about this, where maybe it's running out of gas. Moore himself has said that. And companies now have been getting a lift from Moore's law. It's, you get this in your home on your personal computers, your tablets. You get more power, better, faster, cheaper. But in fact, it looks like in the future, the cost of getting that next better, faster, cheaper is just going to be higher than expected. So you're not going to get that value out of it. And in fact, what that means to companies, it's like surfing a wave. So you're running a company, you're running IT, you keep buying new servers, you buy new stuff, it gives you more power per dollar, and you ride that wave. And as a matter of fact, that wave is worth about 6 or 8% a year in improved efficiency. When that wave goes away, the issue is how are companies going to get the next boost in efficiency and effectiveness? It's not going to be from the marketplace and the new technologies. It's going to be from the way they're using technologies, apply it, and match it to the business outcomes they need.
Now, if indeed Moore's law is done and dusted, how does that change the way we run IT?
If we look at Moore's law was the underpinnings of what you might call the continental drift in IT efficiency. That things were getting better, faster, and cheaper. And as long as you were on that plate, your business would move along with it. So as the marketplace had better technology with more power for less cost, every company would get that lift. And that might have been worth 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8% a year, improved economic efficiency. And you see this in your phones, you see this in your tablets, you see this in consumer goods too, you see this in the TVs. Now what's happening, and even the inventor of Moore's law, Moore himself, sees that the next leaps in technology are going to require massive investment. So cost isn't going to go down as fast as power goes up. So in fact, continental drift of this type that I'm talking about is going to slow down. So this means for companies, they're going to have to be cleverer. They're going to have to be able to get this increased improvement in economic efficiency by adapting and innovating with technology rather than just watching the same technologies improve over time. And that's going to really distinguish the technology leaders, those who are able to keep up the continuous economic improvement without the boost of Moore's law necessarily, at least the same rate, but to give their businesses increased economic efficiency, effectiveness, and reliability in this digital age. The first signal a CIO should look at is their own efficiency and productivity from year to year. If they're doing the same thing and using the same playbook, but their improvements are slowing down, it's almost like a diet. You're losing weight, you're losing weight, you're losing weight, and you're saying things and you plateau. Time to change your diet, assuming you're still healthy and well. And that's what they have to look at. But that means they need the measures in place. They need their own technology, GPS. They need to be measuring these things to even detect a change. Because they're so slight and so not apparent that they're just not intuitive. You have to manage by the numbers. You have to fly this thing with instruments.
So Howard, tell me, why should every CIO have a focus on the economic value that they're delivering?
And this is the shortest answer I'll give you. And the answer is because they must. The success of technology needs to be measured from a business perspective and not just from a technical perspective. If you just measure from a technical perspective, you're optimizing the technology and not the result. And technology is always about result.
As opposed to just keeping up with the Joneses, right?
That's right. Just because you have the latest, greatest. I always tell my clients that technology is not a fashion statement.
In your paper, you refer to a digital economic tipping point. Are we now at such a tipping point? And what are the signals?
I'm using tipping point to mean the point at which things better take off. So if you look at market conditions over the past 15 years, and you look at the dip in the global markets in 2007, 2008, the market crash sent the world into recession. Companies' knee-jerk reaction was to cut their spendings to lower expenses because revenue was going nowhere, and that's what was going on. Along the things that they cut, by the way, was technology. And what you find, and this is really invisible unless you look at the data, that as people cut their technology investment down, you start to see a lag effect that workforce productivity went down because workforce was not getting the tooling it needed to be as productive it needed in this tough economy. So people's reflexes were all wrong. But the most interesting point is that we've sort of flatlined. In terms of looking at technology support to the business, the amount of income supported to technology dollar and any kind of measure about technology outcome, they're the same as they were in 2005 and 2006. Our technology performance has flatlined, and companies now are more cautious about investments. The economic future of the world is always in question moment by moment, the dynamics of China and the dollar and all these other things oscillating around. So they're cautious about pumping more technology money in. And what I'm talking about when I talk about a tipping point is I believe that the only thing will break us free right now from this flatline global economy is to embrace digital and technology economics, start to invest in technology heavily to increase productivity and performance for this new age, and that'll break through the barrier of performance that we're exhibiting and take us into the next level of global performance and economic prosperity, if we wish to call it that. And that's what I mean by the tipping point. It's the point at which we must invest more in technology and not use technology as an expense to be cut, but look at technology as an investment to be made with new rules and new guidelines for a digital economy. We can talk about some of those shortly, but in fact, that's the tipping point. It's the breakthrough of realizing that technology is an investment that has business results, and if we don't have critical mass of investments, we will always just languish at the same level of business performance.
Can you describe the idea that agility is the key aspect that's needed to adapt to this ever-changing global economy?
You'll see, even in the world's big banks, you've seen some of the big banks, the investment banks, their revenue fell off by 25% during the peak of the drop, if that sentence even makes sense. For the maximum drop, 25% downturn in revenue. And you have an expense base for a company. If your expense base for the company doesn't have any kind of downward compressibility, then your cost structure becomes ineffective for your business. Now, with IT today, with the world of the cloud and things like that, organizations need to design their IT economics so it has some level of downward compressibility and upward scalability. And that's what agility is about. And by that I mean they need to take their basic IT cost structure, technology cost structure, which was largely fixed costs in the past, because they own the plants, they own the computing, they own the storage, they own everything out there. They have to say, suppose this drops off and my demand falls off, which is possible. I'm not doing as many transactions. I have less customers. I don't have the revenue to support it. I have to be able to bring that cost base down by some measured amount. And I have to be able to add business back without adding that on linearly. So what companies need to do is to have some kind of elastic cost base in their computing economics to buffer themselves, and again, in a measured way, that in cases of revenue decline, the IT economics can move with the business, and revenue expansion, the IT supported. Agility in IT is about elasticity, and it's be able to have a measured compressibility of the technology budget and expansion of the budget and up times. And it is not about just fixed and variable cost. It's about the speed of movement of your budgets.
So it's all about the ability to adapt to the speeds and needs of a business.
Right. If this was technology Darwinism, this is survival of the fittest, and it's about adapting to your environment.